We got this from PolitiFact. Totally. New York City mayoral candidate Zohran Mamdani is a communist. False.
Shocker, they're lying.
They wrote false. Despite the fact he has a tweet where he says this is the kind of candidate New York needs, and it says hashtag communism. They go on to say in what may be the stupidest argument, but look, they're arguing to stupid people intentionally, okay? Smart people, they're going to figure it out, but they know that smart people aren't going to vote socialist because socialists are developmentally disabled. They say Zohran Mamdani, the 33-year-old who soared the lead, blah, 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 describes himself as a democratic socialist, but some politicians and social media posts falsely labeled him a communist. Nick Sorter, Ben Shapiro, Lee Stefanik, etc. They say Mamdani's platform calls for making transportation, housing, and groceries more affordable, but experts say he hasn't espoused key tenets of communism, such as government takeover of industry and private property. Mamdani is not a communist, wrote Anna Grismala Bus, Stanford University professor, saying communism involves a centrally planned economy with no market forces. Prices and quantities are set by a central government authority. There is no democratic political competition. Instead, a single party rules the country. He is not calling for any of this. In other words, if we can go full Godwin's law, she's basically saying that the argument would have been that Hitler isn't a fascist, tyrannical, genocidal maniac because he was only advocating for making Germany better because of and taking back historical lands that were stolen. If he was actually a genocidal maniac, he would be advocating right now before attaining power for the mass genocide. You get the point. Phil posted this, sent it to me earlier, the Lenin quote, "The goal of socialism is communism. Socialism is the mechanism by which you build a communist system. The end result of socialism is always communism because you can't have socialism. It doesn't work. It can't function in a market economy. So the moment you take any amount of the means of production and seize them, you destroy the market who can't compete with the guns you're pointing at people. And then you start centrally planning the economy and become a communist nation." They're arguing he's not communist because he's not advocating outright to destroy your way of life and take away your choice. He would never win if he did. Now, here's this great tweet. It's funny. Jamie Bonkowick says, "For F's sake, socialism is not communism. Capitalism, anybody can be rich. Communism, nobody can be rich. Socialism, anybody can be rich, but nobody should be poor."
That's so ridiculous.
And it's got 2 million views.
So infantile.
It is.
This is somebody who's never actually read anything about socialism or communism.
Look, Mamdani has said that he said the end goal is to seize the means of production.
Well, my response was, when Mamdani said no billionaires shouldn't exist, she basically then just said he's a communist.
Yeah, I mean, what do you propose you do to make sure that there are no billionaires other than seize their property?
Which he said he wanted to seize the means of production at one point. They are targeting boomers and the silent gen with this as people who lived through the Red Scare. And they need to be like, oh no, like he's a communist. It's pretty obvious. So we need to write an article to calm these people down who are told communism is a dirty word, which it is. Yeah. But yes, I have this right here as a clip from an article. It says, Zohran Mamdani attended Bank Street, a prestigious Manhattan private school that now costs as much as $66,000 a year for elementary school students. Perfect. Yeah, communist who went to a Manhattan private school.
It's always that way.
Yeah.
I mean,
I love this.
Even Karl Marx's father was paying his bills and wealthy, you know?
Oh, absolutely.
We've got this regular old comment. Divide and Conquer says, Tim defending the rich consolidation of power. I ask you, what is the difference between the rich consolidating power and politicians consolidating power? What is the difference between cult leaders consolidating? Nothing. It's literally all consolidation of power. I'll tell you this. The tendency among the rich to have worked for and earned that in some way versus politicians who lie, cheat, and steal to get it, and cult leaders who lie, cheat, and steal to get it, I would prefer the meritocratic work-based system, despite the fact some people do get wealthy through corruption. Corruption is going to exist in any kind of power consolidation. Mm-hmm. At the bare minimum, a capitalist system takes a long time to become tyrannical, whereas a communist system snaps its fingers to become tyrannical. So that's the funny thing. Take your pick. If we go capitalism, in about 200 years, ultra-wealthy people give rise, start consolidating power, merging their companies, and then entrench themselves in the political establishment, and you get crony capitalism. That sucks. We can go for communism, in which snap your fingers, the party rules, and the crony, and you'll beg for crony capitalism. At least you had cheeseburgers. Or we can go socialism, which is let's just let's not run into communism. Let's just give it a few years first.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Fabian socialists were not revolutionaries, right? They wanted to vote socialism in, but they were still looking for socialism. And socialism, again, like we said earlier, the goal of socialism is communism. Socialism is the state that leads you to communism.
Here's some questions socialists can't answer. Define the means of production. Anybody?
So property. Well, I would say any property that you can use to produce. I think that they say any property that can help you produce more property.
So your house.
Capital.
Your house is the means of production?
Well, it depends what you do with it, but I assume so.
Yeah. I mean, what if you have a 1 acre plot of land in a suburb and you start growing some herbs in your back room under special green lights and everything? You go to the grocery store, you buy some, or the hardware store, you buy some lamps, and you're like, I'm gonna grow some rare herbs that I can sell and make a bunch of money, and then you make enough money to buy the neighbor's house next to you and expand your operation. So is your house the means of production?
Yeah.
In which case, the argument is, if that is, and they'll never say this. They will never agree with you. They'll say, no, of course not. But
no, that's your personal property. That's not private property.
Right. It's personal. Okay. Well, I can produce, I can metal work or do carpentry in my garage. Is that the means of production? No. Okay. What if I have 2 garages? Yes. Okay. What if I have 1 garage as big as 2 and I built it myself? I don't know. There's no answer. I've asked socialists so many times because I'm like, bro, the means of production for me is a camera. I saved up. I bought a camera. In fact, I used a GoPro. It's a $300 GoPro. I would put it on top of my monitor and press the record button and then talk for 10 minutes and then just plug it in and transfer the footage to my computer. So my computer is the means of production. So I'm not allowed to own a computer now? They go, no, your computer is your personal property. Okay, well, I make millions of dollars doing that. Now I'm rich. What they're telling you is we're going to lie to you and claim other people are the bad guys so we can implement a communist system.
Yeah, and
socialism is not a real thing. Socialism does not exist. Let me stress this again. Anybody claiming to be a socialist is lying because socialism literally does not exist. I'm going to say it again. Capitalism exists. Communism exists. Socialism can't exist. And I'm going to stress, the argument of socialism is the workers control the means of production, but no one can define the means of production.
It's any size. Didn't the Soviets go around taking even seeds out of people's houses during the famine when they were starving everyone to death? It was horrible.
Yeah, I mean,
like anything could go.
Yeah, during the Holodomor, if you were found with like a grain of wheat,
done,
they'd kill you.
Yeah. Done.
I think technically the 4 points of the means of productions are land, labor, capital, and technology, and they can make any of those things anything they want. Like you said, a grain of wheat, you get murdered because that's technically falls into one of those.
Yeah, they just move the goalposts to satisfy whatever they have to destroy.
Yep.
And then own.
And also, it's worth noting that when you're in a socialist, socialist society, the government has the authority to do whatever they want. So they may say, "Oh no, your computer's not the means of production," until you produce something, and then they're like, "That's mine now," and whatever you made's mine too.
Absolutely. Yep.
It's land and natural resources, factories and infrastructure, machines and tools, raw materials and energy sources.
Yep.
All of those will be owned by everyone, aka the state, for the committee to decide on what to do with it. Yeah. So good luck having a hobby car. Good luck inventing something.
Imagine them with all the supercomputers and AI.
This is a funny thing. This is like every young adult future dystopia where it's like, I want to be an astronaut. Well, you can't because your job is goat crap shoveler. Like in a socialist society as they dictate, you would go to your committee and say, I have an idea for a new kind of engine and I need the materials to build it. And they go, you're not an engineer. Mm-hmm. You're a painter. And yes, I know, but I've been reading a lot about this. How? You don't have those books. You're not supposed to be reading those things. Mm-hmm. Answer is no. Get out.
Well, they're all like, I want to live on my commune and I want to paint and I want to farm on my commune. And I'm like, our commune.
And the one of the worst things about it is it destroys the motivation to do anything. Nobody wants to try if the government's just going to take it. If you can't have that, if you can't possess the profits of your labor, if you can't work and then actually better your life through that work, nobody wants to work.
We're there now, though.
Well,
this is. I think the state of the U.S. actually is to the point. One of the issues that's leading to social degradation is Look, progressive tax system is simple. If you make, I'm gonna use rudimentary. Let's pull the tax brackets. Show me progressive U.S. tax brackets. Let's do the actual hard numbers. So the first bracket I think is here we go. $0 to $11,925. You get taxed at 10%. So from 11 to 48, it's 12. From 40 to 103, it's 22. From 103 to 197, it's 24. Everything above 626 is 37%. What this means is that if you run your own business, salary is immaterial. So if you make widgets at a factory, you're then sitting there going, okay, if I work 40 hours this week, I'm going to make $100,000 by the end of the year and get taxed at 22%. If I decide to stay open on weekends so I can increase my output, that will put me in the next bracket. The next 100,000, I lose 2%. Every time I decide to work harder and expand my business, the return on my investment decreases. So it's not an exponential growth curve. It's not a parabolic growth curve. It's not a straight line. It's actually a diminishing return until you plateau and you say, what's the point of doing work anymore? Mm-hmm. What's the point of working twice as hard when the government just keeps taking the more you work? They're telling you not to work, and that's going to cause a problem. And then you get these socialists, no one should be poor. Yeah, I'm sorry I hate to break it to you, but criminals, like people who hurt other people, are going to end up poor. Some of them will get rich for sure, but a lot of them will end up poor because they're doing bad things. The idea that no one should be poor is insane.
I had a Sargon of Akkad on my show a few weeks ago, and he was
great.
Yeah, he's wonderful. And he was talking about the tax policy in
the UK,
in the UK where he's living, and he was explaining that it's like this. Only it's like you make up to like 20, 30,000, something like that. He said, and you get taxed at 20%. But he's like, as soon as you make more than that, they double the tax.
Oh yeah,
and they paid 40% tax. Now it's like, so there's no incentive. People don't want to make more.
After 50,000 pounds. Everything is taxed at 40. From 12 to 50,000 pounds, it's 20%. That's insane.
Yep.
Wow, 45%.
How do you? I can't even imagine what it's like trying to run a business over there.
Yep.
Yeah, it's really bad. And I mean, we have the 17th grievance in the Declaration of Independence over taxes. And I mean, we're pretty bad right now. We're pretty bad ourselves, but we're not quite that.
Scotland is different, though. Go move to Scotland. They do.
You can't understand anyone over there. They speak this weird English that no.
It's I take that back. It's the same. They have more brackets, but from 26 to 43, it's 21%. And from 43 to 75, it's 42, 45, 48. So it's effectively the same thing. It doubles after. That's actually worse. Yeah, in the UK, if you're making 50,000 pounds, what is that, like 70K a year? That's insane.
Maybe 70.
Yeah, so everybody makes the same amount because they're like, well, I'm not getting punished for making any more money. There's no point in making more money.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Great for ingenuity.
Yeah, I mean,
the U.S. is no different.
Yeah.
They can talk all they want about how no rich people don't pay their taxes, blah, blah, blah. Like, dude, there's like 100 people that have made enough money to get to that point. Everybody else, it is back-breaking, bone-breaking to try and get that, and you're just losing.
The people that say rich people don't pay any taxes or pay their fair share, they're not only, like, they're the dumb people. Mm-hmm. Like, you have to be completely ignorant or, motivated to not know to believe that.
Can they know what somebody's paying in taxes, or would that be a fraud? Or would that be a felony to know what somebody's paying in taxes? How do they know the rich aren't paying their fair share unless they're looking at their taxes?
Well, it's all fake. It's all made up.
Because some politician told them that so that way they'd vote for them.
Look at that. So there's no way when Elizabeth Warren's up there saying, we need billionaires to pay their fair share. She has no idea, for one, what a fair share is. For two, that they're not paying whatever she wants them to pay because she would be committing a felony if she did know that, because she would not have fairly gotten that information.
They have no idea. And it doesn't matter. Like the dollar amount doesn't matter because that's why they say things like fair share. Because it's an abstract, an abstraction that they can.
Well, it sounds like rainbows and unicorns and lollipops.
Yeah, well,
fair share. Isn't that something
change.
You would want? Don't we want a Planned Parenthood? That's a great idea, right? Yeah, see where that's going? It's all about the language.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel and we will see you all there.